Hello and welcome to Startup Hack. Today we are going to discuss about how experienced developers use enums in APIs. You use enums in APIs, but is this good practice or bad practice? You didn't have any issues thus far with enums in API, so what could be the issue with enums? Why can't you use enums as you want? Let's make a difference between different APIs and how enums fit in each. Also, let's see enums in production APIs. This way we will create a clear picture of how you should use enums in API, also where to pay attention to enums in your API. So let's get started. So today's agenda is number 1, what do you overlook with enums in REST API? Are enums an issue in gRPC API? Number 3 will be, do you break an API if you add enums? So let's dig in. Do you want to earn $100,000 a year? Do you want to become a software developer within just 3 months? With our amazing course and awesome tutors, you never have to worry about getting stuck. We help students to learn skills that companies want to hire. We are Startup Hack. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. So let's get started. Alright, let's move towards the first topic. What do you overlook with enums in REST API? You should think from API client's shoes. Would you like to get a new enum value or a plain old string value? How would you handle each? You would have more headache with enum or string. Adding a new enum value would cause issues for the client. They need to add more mapping for that new value. So here's the example. This problem wouldn't exist if this was a string. You'd parse any string and move on. You wouldn't worry about parse exception. Are you implementing your API? You could overlook the client side. After all, you are safe and sound on the implementation side. You define the enum and implement the desired behavior. Enums are fine as API inputs. Request holding enums are fine. We are responsible for them. You can implement the strategies for each enum value or use them as you please. You don't break the same way as clients break. One way to use enums on the server side is to create mutable properties. Here's one example. The Hibernate influences the entity with an enum field, and you will get the address type enum with hidden business logic condition. This makes this field immutable unless you change the enum itself. Where can we see this practice in production API? Let's look at Google People API. You can still see enums on both sides of the API. Both request and response do have enums. Even so, in the responses, the enum does get deprecated in certain cases. We see object type represented as enums. Object types are fine as you want change objects so often, and there's a limited set of options for types. We can also see that responses don't hold an enum. One example would be the address resource and type field. We see the possible predefined values but no enum instead. What you shouldn't overlook is the following. Inputs can contain enum as a parameter. Responses should use them with great care. Alright, let's move towards the second topic. Are enums an issue in gRPC API? You could move this thought in the gRPC world as well. So are enums a problem in gRPC methods? The only issue you could have with enums is the default value. 0 is the default value for the gRPC enum, meaning 0 must be a default value or an unknown value. You can see this in almost every API. It's either unknown or unrecognized value. You should be aware that empty fields get populated with default values. Also, if the client doesn't send any field value for the enum, it will get the default value. You have to be aware of this on the API server so you don't get invalid behavior. Field mask could filter the request and pick the necessary fields. Ted also mentions enum in SDK API, which is like RPC. For these type of APIs, there are a few issues on both ends. For SDK, enums are fine as you get the autocomplete for free. For OpenAI API clients, it's problematic as they don't have the correct description. For RPC interfaces, the clients get generated enum classes So it's like usage and as an in SDK, meaning there's no wrongdoing in using it both as input and output of API. Also, enums in statically typed languages won't cause issues. For other clients, they might. For example, in TypeScript, enum changes won't support developers in refactors. There shouldn't be any issue in using enums in gRPC code. You'll get the support needed and also the failures in compile time. So the third topic is, do you break an API if you add enums? How does using enums in API affect these three API principles? Take nothing away, don't redefine API, make additions optional. Let's say you remove the enum from the API response. You'll break the principle of take nothing away and redefining things. If you add an enum, you are not making additions optional. There's a need to parse this on the client side as well. Let's say you use a string instead. You could present some of the values predefined ones and allow additional values. We could see this in the address field type of Google person. These principles don't break for gRPC or SDK APIs where you have the support on the client side. As soon as you update the SDK, you'll get the issues and how to correct them. Here's one interesting enum quirk in HTTP responses. Enums aren't great as response field as we saw earlier. Even so, truly constant fields are okay as a response field. One example we all know is the HTTP status enum, but how can this enum make any impact? Enums could increase memory footprint. So enums could become a bottleneck if they are resolved on every response. The enum status code resolution to the enum value allocates some memory at constant rate. The solution to this is to use the enum values cache. Using enums in responses isn't trivial and shouldn't be viewed from different aspects. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you are aware now how experienced developers use enums in API. So don't forget to subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon for latest updates. And to joining our course, you can simply go to our website called startuphack.com/start-now. Thank you.